North Korea, the most interesting and dark country in the world. North Korea got the most strangest and mind-blowing rules that will blow anyone's mind. All right, let me ask you, what year is it right now? You're probably thinking 2024, right? Well, if you were in North Korea, you'd be way off. According to their calendar, it's the year 112. Why? Because their calendar started in 1912, the year Kim Il-sung, their first leader, was born. So, while we're living in 2023, they're in a whole different century. What do you think? Could you keep up with a calendar like that? Fact number 2 dives into something pretty intense: religion. In North Korea, Bibles are completely banned, and if you're a tourist, you can't bring one with you into the country. There's zero freedom of religion, and the Kim dynasty wants to make sure their ideology is the only one people follow. It's hard to imagine not having the freedom to practice your beliefs, right? Now here's a fact that's honestly heartbreaking. North Korea has a punishment system that doesn't just affect you, but 3 generations of your family. That means if you're found guilty of a crime, not only do you end up in prison for life, but your parents and grandparents are sent there too. Imagine that. Generations punished for something they didn't even do. It's almost unbelievable, but that's the reality of life there. What do you guys think about this? If you're a tourist in North Korea, you can take pictures, but there's a weird rule. When photographing statues of their leaders, you're not allowed to crop out any part of the statue. So, no zooming in on just the head or the feet. You've got to get the whole thing in the shot. It sounds pretty specific, right? But it's just one of those rules you've got to follow. Would you be able to remember this? Or would you accidentally break this rule? North Korea is the only country in the world that's technically ruled by a dead man. Yes, you heard that right. Kim Il-sung, the country's founder, passed away decades ago, but he's still considered their eternal leader. Even in death, he's officially the leader forever. It's like something out of a surreal movie. What do you think about this? Free media? Yeah, not in North Korea. The whole country has just 3 TV channels, all controlled by the government. And trust me, they're as strange as you can imagine. The internet? More like an intranet. There are only 28 websites you can access, and even then, you need special permission to visit each one. Wild, right? Now here's something you definitely don't want to experience. North Koreans sometimes face mandatory work challenges that can last 70 days straight. No breaks. Can you imagine working nonstop for over 2 months? That's what people in North Korea have to do during these challenges. It's hard to wrap your head around. What's the longest you've ever worked without a day off? This one's pretty surprising. Did you know that North Korea has the 4th largest army in the world? Yup, only China, India, and the US have bigger forces. Here's the kicker though. They're spending 1/3 of their entire GDP on defense. Meanwhile, people in the country are literally starving. It's pretty shocking when you think about it, right? What would you do if you were in charge of that budget? Let us know your thoughts below. Here is a fact about cars. In North Korea, driving isn't something just anyone can do. Only government officials and military personnel are allowed behind the wheel. That's why you hardly ever see cars on the road. Most people either bike or walk to get around. It's pretty wild to imagine whole cities with almost no cars, right? What would you do if you couldn't drive anywhere? In North Korea, it's actually illegal to fold a newspaper in a way that creases the leader's face. Yeah, you heard that right. Now, that might sound tricky because, surprise, surprise, his face is on almost every single page. Imagine trying to avoid that. You'd have to be super careful with how you read your paper every day. What do you think? Could you manage to keep it crease-free? Moving on to the next fact, and this one's a bit of a shocker. Did you know North Korea is known for producing some of the best counterfeit US dollars in the world? Yup. Their fake bills are so convincing, they sometimes even pass through without being detected. It's one of the ways the regime pulls in money under the radar. Crazy, right? What would you do if you accidentally ended up with one of these fakes? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments.